In the shadowy realm where science, skepticism, and secrecy converge, a chilling underbelly of conspiracy theories has lurked for decades. These whispers in the scientific corridors have often been dismissed as the wild imaginings of conspiracy theorists, relegated to the fringes of rational discourse. But what if, just for a moment, we entertained the notion that some of these outlandish claims might hold a kernel of truth? From the enigmatic world of secret government experiments to clandestine corporate cover-ups, these revelations will leave you on the edge of your seat. Join us as we uncover 21 scientific conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. Number 21. How the government is spying on you. The United States possesses a lengthy history of extensive surveillance, notably during the Civil Rights Movement. Intelligence agencies, under the program known as COINTELPRO, targeted and attempted to silence political dissidents. J. Edgar Hoover initiated a nationwide campaign to disrupt the activities of the New Left without informing his superiors. Many of these tactics violated the law, involving actions such as illegal break-ins, forged blackmail letters, and threats of violence. Information leaked by whistleblowers has revealed astonishing surveillance systems in the 21st century. Following the events of 9/11, President George W. Bush granted unprecedented authority to the NSA, allowing for mass surveillance on both foreign and domestic fronts. The NSA, as a standard practice, intercepts and collects communications, subsequently filtering, analyzing, measuring, and storing them for extended periods. This extensive surveillance extends to warrantless wiretapping of telephones and goes beyond, encompassing the interception of emails, text messages, and video chats through technology giants and undersea cables. Coupled with their collection of cellular metadata, the NSA has constructed a comprehensive digital surveillance network. When a call is made, Verizon provides information including phone numbers, phone serial numbers, call the location, call time, call duration, and equivalent information for the other party involved. Number 20. Hollywood's extraterrestrial influence. In the realm of UFOs, our focus centers on scientific matters, those that can be addressed through the use of evidence, reason, and logic. When dealing with extraordinary claims related to UFOs, the standard is set higher. A mere video won't suffice. Instead, substantial evidence must be presented, such as concrete proof of a spacecraft and its occupants. According to skeptics, the existing evidence concerning UFOs is not only insufficient, but also points towards alternative explanations. The initial UFO sightings in Roswell in 1947 occurred during a period of heightened paranoia in the United States due to the Cold War and the looming threat of nuclear warfare. Fears of communism and unknown weaponry were pervasive. While the government's secrecy regarding Roswell was unquestionably deceptive, it was rooted in concealing the monitoring of Soviet nuclear tests, not extraterrestrial encounters. Nevertheless, UFOs have left an indelible mark on popular culture. Hollywood embraced these mysteries, using them to alleviate collective anxieties in the American psyche. The notion of government conspiracies concealing extraterrestrial life has become deeply ingrained in our national consciousness, largely through the influence of science fiction and conspiracy narratives. It's worth noting that skeptics argue for logic, but enthusiasts who embrace these beliefs find emotional solace in supernatural and conspiracy explanations. These narratives offer a sense of meaning and order in a world that science often cannot provide. Number 19. How the CIA administered fake vaccines. Vaccines, historically a target for conspiracy theories, found themselves entangled in a real-life espionage drama in 2011. The CIA devised a clandestine operation under the guise of a hepatitis B vaccination campaign in Pakistan. However, there was a sinister twist. The vaccines were counterfeit, and their true purpose was to surreptitiously collect DNA, all in a quest to pinpoint the elusive Osama bin Laden's whereabouts. The ruse unfolded in the town believed to shelter bin Laden. The audacious plan aimed to procure a DNA sample from him or a close relative, but it failed on multiple fronts. Not only did it fall short of its mission to track down the Al-Qaeda leader, but it also sowed seeds of mistrust towards the US government, casting a long shadow over more recent vaccination efforts. Ultimately, Bin Laden was eventually located through different means that same year. Nonetheless, this misadventure left lingering doubts about vaccines in its wake. A growing number of people began to voice skepticism about inoculations, voicing concerns about introducing substances into their bodies. This deepened the distrust in both scientific experts and political leaders, demonstrating the far-reaching consequences of a covert mission that blurred the lines between public health and espionage. Number 18. The U.S. Navy sprayed chemicals into the Bay Area. San Francisco, famous for its iconic fog, holds a lesser-known, chilling tale. In 1950, a peculiar incident unfolded when 11 Bay Area residents were admitted to a hospital, all grappling with urinary tract infections. While 10 eventually recovered, one tragically succumbed to a heart valve infection. The true nature of this medical mystery remained concealed until 1977, when the U.S. Army unveiled a shocking revelation. It was the aftermath of a sinister biological warfare experiment, christened Operation Sea Spray. Just weeks before the unexplained infections, the Navy had released 2 strains of bacteria into the city, intending to gauge their impact on the unsuspecting population. This revelation sent shivers down spines. Moreover, the Army admitted to conducting several other covert bioweapon experiments across the nation during the 1950s and 60s, which had remained concealed. President Nixon eventually terminated these nightmarish programs in 1969, but the chilling legacy of these clandestine tests still haunts the annals of history, leaving us to ponder the depths of human experimentation and its hidden consequences. San Francisco's fog, once seen as a benign natural spectacle, became a shroud for these sinister secrets. Number 17. The mind control experiments. The intelligence agency has been the subject of significant public concern and scrutiny, largely due to its notorious reputation, which can be traced back to the controversial MK-Ultra program initiated during the early stages of the Cold War. The CIA, responsible for the program, clandestinely sought methods of exerting control over the human mind. To facilitate their research, they allocated substantial funding to various psychiatric institutions in the United States and Canada. These institutions conducted experiments on unwitting patients to pioneer both biochemical and psychological techniques. The CIA's overarching objective was to manipulate individuals in positions of influence, as well as to develop a truth serum for interrogation purposes. These experiments involved the administration of LSD to volunteers, including students, medical professionals, civilians, and even CIA employees, often without their informed consent. The program encompassed the exploration of hypnosis and interrogation methods and included brutal electroshock procedures, extensive drug regimens, and enforced prolonged periods of sleep. Significantly, the program received substantial financial support from both the Canadian government and the American CIA, extending its reach to testing on Danish subjects. This distressing program might have continued indefinitely had it not been for the Watergate scandal, which sent shockwaves through Washington, D.C. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of virtually all records related to the program, with only approximately 20,000 documents managing to evade obliteration. It wasn't until the mid-1970s, during congressional hearings in the United States, following the exposure of the program, that the CIA finally acknowledged its existence. The agency admitted that its actions were ethically questionable and seemed to feign innocence in the face of mounting public outrage. Number 16. A historical tale of dietary misdirection. It may be challenging to fathom today, given our current understanding of diabetes and oral health, but there was a time when sugar was widely perceived as a wholesome dietary choice. Sugar producers and confectionery companies actively promoted the notion that fat, not sugar, was the primary adversary. Astonishingly, historical records from the Journal of the American Medical Association indicate that during the 1960s, researchers were financially incentivized to downplay the connection between sugar consumption and heart disease, while emphasizing saturated fat as the main culprit. In 2016, a researcher at the University of California, San Francisco, brought to light that the Sugar Research Foundation had financed a Harvard study in 1967, aiming to minimize sugar's impact on heart health and shift the blame to saturated fat. Concurrently, Coca-Cola has consistently provided substantial funding to researchers, as recently as 2015, to downplay the correlation between sugary beverages and obesity. Their research purported that exercise, rather than dietary choices, was the most effective strategy for combating obesity. Regrettably, these instances are merely a glimpse into the ethical concerns surrounding these companies, which stand in stark contrast to the palatability of their products. Number 15. Atomic Kittens of Espionage. Atomic Kitten is linked to an unusual chapter in espionage history. In the 1960s, during the spy film frenzy, the CIA embarked on Operation Acoustic Kitty, a peculiar initiative. They transformed ordinary felines into bionic carrier pigeons. How? By implanting these furry agents with recording devices, they intend to turn them into eavesdropping experts to gather classified information. However, the CIA quickly realized that cats have a mind of their own. Instead of executing covert missions, these feline agents behaved precisely as you'd expect. They strolled around like regular cats, uninterested in espionage. This comical twist led to the abandonment of the operation. It's a bit like comparing these cats to famous cat women, from Eartha Kitt to Zoe Kravitz, but on a scale of mishaps, it was more Halle Berry than perfection. This tale adds a peculiar and slightly whimsical dimension to Atomic Kitten's legacy, where the world of pop meets the world of espionage in an unexpected and ultimately unsuccessful crossover. Number 14. The Poison Dart Pistol. The surprising connection between guns and cardiac arrests may not be well known, but there's a covert world where these two seemingly unrelated entities intersect. Imagine a weapon straight out of a James Bond thriller, a heart attack gun. This extraordinary invention came to public attention in 1975 during a revealing CIA testimony. CIA Director William Colby, alongside Idaho Senator Frank Church, showcased this clandestine handgun. The heart attack gun fired frozen darts, filled with a deadly shellfish toxin. When asked if it fires the dart, the response was affirmative. The gun, resembling a typical .45 caliber handgun with a unique modification, was designed to enter the human body without arousing suspicion. Upon impact, the poison left behind a subtle red dot, mimicking the symptoms of a heart attack. The shooter could escape undetected, at least until an autopsy was conducted. While there is ample evidence suggesting the existence of this covert weapon, there are no confirmed instances of it being used in high-profile assassinations. The heart attack gun remains a mysterious relic of the past. Number 13. The secret Nazi scientists who launched America into space. In the aftermath of World War II, Europe was busy with denazification, while the United States took a unique path as it geared up for the Cold War against the Soviet Union in the late 1940s. President Harry S. Truman orchestrated an extraordinary move, granting refuge to over 1,600 German scientists and engineers on American soil. This covert operation, known as Operation Paperclip, had a dual nature, one hidden in secrecy and another presented to the public as an alliance with good Germans. Behind the scenes, the truth remained concealed. Many of these scientists had disturbing ties to the Nazi Party, ranging from passive involvement to full-blown leadership. One such scientist, Hubertus Strughold, had a dark past, having conducted experiments on humans in concentration camps. However, in the US, he was allowed to rebuild his life and became known as the father of space medicine. The collaboration between ex-Nazis and American Jews in shaping the US space program is a complex and controversial chapter in history. It's a story of redemption and scientific progress, but one that can't escape its morally murky origins. Number 12. The tech conspiracy. The concept of planned obsolescence, where companies intentionally slow down their older gadgets to encourage new purchases, has long been a subject of speculation. Tech giants like Apple and Samsung have faced accusations of this practice, leaving consumers feeling their once efficient devices are now sluggish. However, the issue often isn't with the entire phone, but rather with its battery. In 2016, the release of iOS 10 shed light on this concern, sparking what many called the battery gate. Apple eventually acknowledged that the iPhone 6 and 6S struggled to adapt to the new update, leading to slow performance and rapid battery drain. This revelation validated users' suspicions and initiated a wave of class action lawsuits and investigations. The term planned obsolescence dates back to the 1930s, but the digital age confirmed its existence. People discovered they weren't imagining things, and countries like France took action. France made planned obsolescence a crime, formally investigating Apple for its practices. This move was significant, portraying the tech giant as the evil empire accused of both tax evasion and misleading customers. The issue of planned obsolescence extends beyond just gadgets. It touches on environmental concerns, consumer rights, and corporate responsibility. As technology continues to evolve, the battle between innovation and sustainability remains a critical topic in the tech industry. Number 11. Weather control programs. The intriguing history of the U.S. government's quest to harness weather control dates back to post-Civil War times in the late 1800s. An American engineer, captivated by tales of rain following large battles, embarked on a mission to replicate this phenomenon. Armed with a generous $9,000 budget, a general ignited a colossal explosion in Texas, seeking to manipulate the weather. However, the outcomes remained inconclusive. Intriguingly, contemporary conspiracy theories suggest that recent natural disasters are linked to a clandestine climate-manipulating weapon employed by the U.S. Army. Yet weather manipulation has been part of military strategy for decades. The Pentagon integrated weather control into its tactics during the Vietnam War with Operation Popeye. Over 5 years, aircraft attempted to seed rain clouds over Vietnam using silver iodide particles. These particles served as scaffolding for ice formation, which after about 20 minutes grew heavy enough to fall as precipitation. The goal was to extend the monsoon season, potentially offering a strategic advantage. However, this covert program came to light in 1978, leading to a global ban on weather-based environmental warfare. The lesson learned is clear. Meddling with forces we barely comprehend can yield unpredictable and potentially unfavorable consequences. Number 10. The CIA drugged citizens without their knowledge. In the 1950s and 60s, the CIA embarked on a rather bizarre mission within their mind control program. They set their sights on an unusual group, clients of sex workers. Their aim? To unravel the mysteries of brainwashing and the effects of LSD. With their ample budget, the CIA funded experiments that involved paying ladies of the night to unknowingly dose unsuspecting men with LSD. This peculiar endeavor allowed the agency to delve into how this mind-altering substance affected individuals who had no inkling they were under its influence. The primary focus was whether these unwitting subjects would divulge sensitive information. It was a clandestine operation, as sex workers spiked their clients' drinks, while CIA consultant George White observed their actions from behind a concealed one-way mirror. The extent of these brainwashing experiments is as bewildering as the experiments themselves. Amid the myriad of shady CIA projects, this one bears the wildest code name, Operation Midnight Climax. It's a testament to the lengths to which the agency went in pursuit of understanding the human mind and the art of manipulation. Number 9. Exxon's climate cover-up. Throughout the 1970s, the colossal oil and gas titan ExxonMobil stealthily delved into climate change research. In a tale akin to sugar-sweetened soda companies hiding health risks and tobacco firms obscuring the perils of cigarettes, Exxon embarked on a quest to suppress the inconvenient truth of global climate shifts. Their actions extended far beyond personal health, cascading into worldwide repercussions. ExxonMobil poured funds into research that disavowed human-induced global warming, despite their internal experts accurately forecasting climate shifts. These in-house climate scientists were astute predictors of our planet's future climate trajectory. They wielded their influence through the Global Climate Coalition, a formidable adversary of the Kyoto Protocol, which sought to curtail greenhouse gas emissions. Denying climate change became Exxon's steadfast stance, a stance that persisted unyieldingly through the 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s. In a surprising about-face, Exxon reluctantly acknowledged the environmental threats of global warming in 2007. However, even today, the discourse on climate change remains contentious, thanks to the relentless lobbying efforts of fossil fuel giants. They sowed seeds of doubt about the reality of climate change, downplayed human culpability, and cynically suggested that there were no practical remedies. This legacy of denialism continues to shape the ongoing debate over climate change, inhibiting progress toward a consensus on this critical issue. Number 8. The U.S. government poisoned alcohol during Prohibition. In 1919, the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution ushered in the era of Prohibition, banning alcohol. This wasn't just a mere historical footnote, it was a seismic shift in American society. It was a time when flappers danced to jazz and speakeasies thrived in hidden corners. Prohibition wasn't a casual suggestion. It was the law of the land, and it would last until 1933 when the 21st Amendment brought the era to a close. But despite the ban, the country was awash in illegal alcohol. Bootleggers and gangsters like Al Capone ran secret distilleries and smuggled liquor from abroad to quench the nation's insatiable thirst for a drink. The government took some bizarre steps to enforce prohibition. They laced industrial alcohol with extra toxins, thinking, can we make this stuff riskier to drink? In 1926, they upped the ante, mandating the addition of even more poisonous substances like benzene, mercury, and methanol. Shockingly, this didn't stop bootleggers or drinkers. Instead, it led to a tragedy. An estimated 10,000 people lost their lives, and many others were left blinded by this toxic concoction. Prohibition was a time of contradictions, defiance, and unintended consequences, where the desire for a simple drink led to a complex web of crime, rebellion, and, tragically, loss. Number 7. Big Tobacco hid evidence, linking smoking to cancer. In the present day, the well-established link between smoking and lung cancer is common knowledge. These impactful advertisements are gracing television screens and prominent newspapers across the nation, leaving no room for doubt. There is no such thing as a safe cigarette. These ads boldly confront the harsh realities of smoking, emphasizing that all cigarettes are culprits in causing cancer, lung diseases, heart attacks, and untimely death. Notably, cigarette packs in the United States now bear stern warnings from the Surgeon General. However, the path to this point was a protracted battle against Big Tobacco, who vehemently denied the evidence for years, claiming innocence. Yet the truth was concealed for decades. A dedicated scientist who has spent 3 decades examining the connection between nicotine and lung cancer could find no concrete evidence linking the two. Surprisingly, hidden within the archives of cigarette companies were studies dating back to the 1950s that revealed the harmful substances contained in cigarette smoke, such as tar, cyanide, lead, and even arsenic. Shockingly, these companies were aware, as far back as 1959, that cigarette smoke also harbored a radioactive element, polonium-210. While it was possible to remove this harmful element, doing so would have made nicotine absorption less efficient, impacting their profits. The truth was that consumers paid higher prices for cigarettes because of their nicotine addiction. Nicotine, found in tobacco, is the lifeblood of the tobacco industry. Without nicotine addiction, the industry would cease to exist, a fact well understood by the industry's leaders. Number 6. The Pentagon's admission to aerial anomalies. The world is a mysterious place, and the idea of aliens has long been a source of intrigue. From the enigmatic practices of voodoo priests in Haiti to the ancient numerology of Tibetan mystics in the Appalachian Mountains, mysteries abound. Even the iconic show Unsolved Mysteries couldn't escape the allure of the unexplained. But here's the twist. The truth about aliens is not just a wild conspiracy. In 2017, the U.S. government confessed to investing $22 million in a project known as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Its mission? Investigating UFOs. Though the Department of Defense didn't reveal all the details, they did confirm these aerial anomalies remained unidentified. In the same year, astonishing videos surfaced, captured by U.S. Navy personnel, providing irrefutable evidence of UFO encounters. These videos, initially leaked, were later confirmed as authentic by the Pentagon. This revelation led to the formation of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force in 2020, which in 2022 evolved into the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. The truth is out there. The government is acknowledging it. These unexplained aerial phenomena, caught on camera by Navy fighter pilots during training flights, are rewriting our understanding of what's possible in our skies and beyond. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Renowned Harvard physicist Avi Loeb discovered 50 iron balls deep in the Pacific Ocean. He thinks they might be from a visitor outside our solar system. This idea connects to a special event in January 2014. A super-fast fireball seen streaking through the sky. U.S. defense sensors tracked it. It was not like regular meteors. It zoomed through the sky and broke up over the South Pacific Ocean near Papua New Guinea. NASA calls it CNEOS 2014-0108, also known as IM-1, standing for Interstellar Meteor. But linking this fiery display to an alien spacecraft is a big intellectual journey. What evidence supports Loeb's idea? Is it likely these fragments come from another world's visit? Scientists are now on the edge of cosmic thinking, ready to explore this space mystery and discover its secrets. Let us know what you think about what we just showed you. Number 5. The U.S. government experimented on black men. For over 4 decades, the CDC and the United States Public Health Service were involved in the notorious Tuskegee study, which began in 1932. They enlisted 600 impoverished black men in Alabama, all for the sake of medical research. Imagine these men, mostly sharecroppers, were told they were receiving free health care. However, they were deceived about the study's real purpose, which was to investigate syphilis. The shocking part is that 2/3 of them already had latent syphilis, yet they were never informed or treated with the life-saving penicillin. Instead of help, they were given fake treatments for their bad blood. This so-called bad blood was the researchers' excuse to keep monitoring the men without their consent. Tragically, over 100 of these men died due to syphilis-related medical problems. The repercussions went even further, as 40 of their wives contracted the disease, and 19 innocent children were born with it. This horrifying injustice continued until a whistleblower exposed the study's true nature in 1972. It was only in 1997, when President Clinton offered a formal apology on behalf of the U.S. government, that some acknowledgement and remorse were expressed. Number 4. The United States human radiation experiments. In the early 1940s, as the world teetered on the brink of the nuclear age, governments were consumed by a thirst for knowledge. In the United States, the Atomic Energy Commission embarked on a disturbing journey, commissioning a slew of human experimentation studies. Their focus, the impact of total body irradiation, driven by the ominous specter of a nuclear war. Amid this dark quest for data, chilling stories emerged. A professor at MIT conducted experiments feeding radioactive substances to mentally disabled boys. Researchers at Vanderbilt University, in a deeply unsettling move, provided pregnant women with radioactive pills. U.S. soldiers found themselves unwittingly exposed to radiation, while parents at hospitals were injected with plutonium. Even prisoners were not spared, enduring testicular irradiation that led to heartbreaking birth defects. The aftermath of these cruel experiments left many prisoners suffering from medical afflictions, cancers, and various health issues. Operation Sunshine took a macabre turn, with the AEC and U.S. Air Force employing agents to pilfer tissue samples and body parts from around 1,500 cadavers, including innocent children, without the consent of grieving parents. In 1994, a long overdue reckoning occurred when President Bill Clinton declassified records and extended a formal apology to the victims, their families, and communities. The painful history of these experiments, shrouded in secrecy for decades, was finally brought to light. The United States offered a sincere apology for the suffering endured by its citizens, seeking to mend the wounds of a dark chapter in its history. Number 3. Blood money. While conspiracy theories often center around government plots, some of the most sinister secrets hide within the private sector. In the late 1800s, the renowned German pharmaceutical giant Bayer introduced aspirin to the world. Over the years, they expanded their product line to include various drugs. However, a shocking revelation emerged in the 1980s. Bayer's subsidiary Cutter Biological was producing a blood-clotting medication known as factoret for hemophiliacs. Disturbingly, they sourced blood from high-risk donors, a decision that would prove catastrophic. This decision led to the contamination of factoret with HIV, a fact the company was well aware of. The crisis unfolded when children born with hemophilia began using this medicine. Tragically, they were exposed to the AIDS virus. In response to this disaster, Cutter quickly switched to safer heat-treated products for the Western market. Yet, in a heartless pursuit of profit, they shipped the contaminated products to Latin America and Asia, where regulations were less stringent. Around 20,000 patients, primarily children, were infected with AIDS through Bayer's products. This chilling saga highlights how corporate greed and negligence can lead to unimaginable human suffering. Number 2. Canada tried to create actual gaydar. In the mid-20th century, concealing one's true identity as a gay man or woman was not merely a matter of personal choice, but a dire necessity. The consequences of being open about one's sexual orientation could range from losing your job to facing societal ostracism, and even risking your life. During this era, the Canadian government in particular homed in on homosexuality as a supposed character flaw, focusing on it as a target for scrutiny. Professor Frank Robert Wake was the mind behind what would later be ominously referred to as the fruit machine. This contraption was part of the government's relentless quest to find a scientific, objective means of identifying gay and lesbian individuals. Today, we might call it an attempt at creating a gaydar. In the name of research, men were strapped into chairs and exposed to sexual images while their physical responses were closely monitored. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police delved into this disturbing endeavor, subjecting thousands of government employees to these dubious tests. The outcome was simple and harsh. If you were found to be homosexual, you were promptly dismissed from your position without discretion. The consequences were devastating. Many lost their livelihoods due to these unreliable examinations, which, thankfully, were eventually discontinued. Number 1. How Kellogg and Jackson shaped breakfast. Lucky Charms, those magically delicious marshmallow treasures, aren't just about taste. They're part of a good breakfast, or so the cereal commercials say. But here's the fascinating twist. Breakfast's connection to health and weight loss goes way back. Back during the Industrial Revolution, heavy meat-based breakfasts fell out of favor due to digestion challenges. That's when visionaries like James Caleb Jackson and John Harvey Kellogg emerged with their flaked corn cereal. As Seventh-day Adventists, they believed a bland diet could promote abstinence and help banish impure thoughts. Their regimen included no sex, no meat, no alcohol, no sugar, and nothing remotely sensual. Moreover, promoting cereal during World War II potentially aided the U.S. government's meat rationing efforts. So your breakfast choices might be more about clever marketing and historical quirks than about the best way to start your day. Today, as you savor those whimsical marshmallow shapes, remember that breakfast's health benefits have a colorful history, shaped by social and dietary trends, marketing, and even wartime necessity. So while you enjoy your Lucky Charms, you're also consuming a piece of breakfast's rich history. Do you feel that there is credible evidence supporting the theory that some major global health crises are man-made and intentionally released? Share your thoughts in the comments below.